this recent turn of events, life has just been difficult, from isolation to loss of jobs and even loss of our freedoms. And with all of this going on, anger and hostility has been on the rise. And I want to say to you, first of all, number one, if you are in any type of abusive relationship or marriage, you need to get out. Okay? It is never okay to be in an abusive home where someone is hurting you in any way. Okay, emotionally, physically, sexually, it is all wrong, and you need to get out. You need to find a safe place. You need to go to a friend's house, a family members that you trust, someone that you love and love to be around that is going to be building you up. Okay, it is never okay to be in an abusive relationship. So that is the first thing that I want to say, is get out. There are different resources, people from Hope and Healing. We want to help you. We want to be there for you. And I just pray that if you are struggling, that you will talk to someone and get the help that you need. And there are two different types of anger that are taking place here. There is the surface anger, where different triggers of the circumstances just cause you to be unhappy and will trigger those emotions, because emotions are high anyways right now. And so what happens is, as you continue to, a circumstance, a trigger will happen, you stuff it down. A trigger will happen and you stuff it down. Eventually all of that bubbles out and will come out. Okay, that is the surface anger. And then there's the hostile anger, which is the more violent anger that comes out in abusive relationships, in abusive marriages, in abusive homes. And this stems usually way back, pain from childhood. And if you do not deal with the trauma that you experience in childhood, whether it's abuse, drugs and alcohol, and rejection, if you don't deal with those painful, hurtful memories, what happens is, as you grow older, that trauma just takes over and will come out in different ways. And usually it's anger, because when you're hurt, anger is the first response. Number two is counseling. You get out of the relationship, you find a safe place. Number two, you get the counseling you need, yourself and the offender as well. Now, you can't force anybody to receive counseling. That has to be something they choose to do on their own, but you can encourage them to get counseling. And Hope and Healing, our specialty is going through the grief process and trauma, and we can lead you through that. We want to help you, and that's why we're here. And that's why I do these videos, is because I care about you and we want to be here for you. Okay? And I have said in past videos that the journaling is so important for the healing. You go back to those painful memories and you write it out, because you have to get that junk out to get to the healing. So you journal it all down on paper, you write down the painful memories. It's not easy because you feel those emotions again. But in order to get to the healing part in your heart, you have to get out the negative and the junk and the bad and the ugly. And then you fill up with God's Word. If you don't own a Bible, please go get a Bible. I will give you a Bible. Because what happens is, when you get out the junk and the ugly parts, it leaves holes in your heart that if you don't fill up with the truth of God's Word, Satan comes in and then he brings more addictions and more negativity. More anger will start to fester. And you don't want that. And so you write it all out, you fill up with God's Word, and I guarantee you, in time, you will heal. And we can help you through that process. And so it is important for you and the offender both to do this. And so number two is the counseling. And then number three is just the action. The action of putting this all into practice. And so, as you continue to reach towards those goals of freedom, allow God to work in your life. You get out of the situation. It is never okay to be hurt by someone. You are so valuable and you are so loved by God. He never wants anyone to be treated that way. And so you put up those boundaries. You let them know it is not okay. In reality, when you put up those boundaries, you're helping them as well as yourself. You're protecting yourself. But you're telling them, you may not treat me that way. It is not okay. And it forces them to get the help that they need, which is very important as well for their well-being. And so you put those things into practice. You take the action that you need. Allow God to work in your heart, in your partner's heart. And it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. But I guarantee you, if you put it into practice, it will happen. And just remember how so very much you're loved by God, how valuable you are, and that we are here for you. We want to reach out to you. You can go to our Hope and Healing page. We can set up a time to meet or talk to go through this healing process. And so I pray that you will do that today. If you are hurting and you are struggling, you get out, you put up the boundaries, you get counseling, put it all into action to move towards freedom. And I hope that you will find that freedom today.